Hello, all. Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon. Thank you for all the love and all the questions that you had for this video. So, yes, sorry for the delay, but finally, we are going to talk about a upgrade of India localization from NAV 2016 all the way to Business Central 26. Okay, there will be multiple parts into this video, so stay tuned. And currently, the plan is to go from NAV 2016 IN to Business Central on-prem, 26 BC 26 on-prem. Now, if you want, and if you're watching this on Monday, and if you think that you should be going to Business Central 26 cloud, let me know into the comments. We can always change the path, right, and go to the other path. Before we start video, let me make sure that I do the needful, which is invite you to the community. So there is a Teams community that we have created called Saurav's Dynamics Hub. Everything is here now. All the questions that you have kind of comes under tech query support, where I can help you. It also gives me a one-to-one connect to every member who needs support, and if I have time during that hour or so, the quizzes that were happening on the LinkedIn in the past are moved here. BC open discussion, which was happening earlier outside, is also part here of the community here. So everything that I was doing will be here going forward. So if you are not part of it, go ahead into the description or the pinned comment and you'll find the link to join the community. Okay, we are already 100 plus members in first 2 weeks of starting this community. So thank you for all your love and support. And we'll continue engaging through this. It seems one consolidated area where I can engage with everyone who is in Business Central space. Okay, so that was not a promotion, but that's just an invitation. Okay, coming back to this. So what we'll be doing is, remember that this is a long series, and that's the reason we are breaking it into multiple pieces. Make sure that you are only watching this video if you are doing an upgrade for India localization only. If you are not doing it for India localization, this video is not for you. You can just close the video, find some other video which is relevant to you for your upgrade step. But this is only for India localization. These steps are only applicable if the database is with India localization. Any other localization, don't use this. Hopefully I have made myself clear. If you are looking for a custom solution, I'm not using it. In this particular video series, we'll be talking from a completely Cronus environment perspective. If you have custom scenarios, don't worry. Let them know in the community to me that, okay, why don't we do another video, and this time we add 5 field into customer table, a custom table, and some field into localization table and all. And I'll be happy to release another video series with customizations in India localization database. So for now, it's a demo database. There are no customizations, and I guess we are good at this moment. So let's first understand what are the important things that we need to keep in mind. Grab your cup of tea or coffee, whatever you prefer, and let's get started. So prerequisite. You need to have the latest version of NAV 2016 IN localization, which is the last CU, which will not change going forward, which is CU 67 at this moment. The Microsoft documentation, after finding a lot of things about it, recommends you to minimum of CU 66 with a TDS 194 hotfix. So I would highly recommend you that if you have customers who are on prior versions of 2016, upgrade them to CU 67. I will only not suggest that if your customer is already on CU 66 with a TDS 194 hotfix. If your customer is already there, then you don't have to bring them to CU 67. In any prior cumulative updates, they should be updated to CU 67. We'll talk briefly about what you need to do on that or not. Then also download Business Central 14, the last CU that's available. I guess it's 52. We'll see it in a while. Then keep your partner license handy, your license. If you're a partner, you should be a partner, because it'll be needed during the upgrade process. and then make sure that you have already installed NAV 2016 and Business Central 14 on the upgrade server where you are performing the upgrade. So don't kind of, this video will not talk about installation. You can go ahead and watch the installation playlist, where I'm pretty sure there is a video about installing 2016 and Business Central 14. Okay, now we know about the prerequisite. Let's come and try to understand the demo environment that we'll be using. Okay, so what I've done is I already have SU67 installed, but for the demo I'll be using this database, NAV 2016 IN upgrade demo. Now this database is actually on CU50. Okay, and I forgot to share the links, so let me share it and then I'll add it into the pinned comment and all. This is for 2016 CU. The last one is CU67, which is installed on my machine right now. You can download it from here if you don't have it. And then this is for BC14, so the 52 CU52, which is already installed on my machine. Just one thing, because I always forget about it, for India upgrade, while installing Business Central 14, make sure to install the web server component. You will need the web client to proceed with the upgrade. So don't do it without the web component or without the web client. You need to make sure that the web client is installed, because there are steps which will require you to have web client available. Don't worry about the links. These links will be available in the pinned comment and the description. Now, while downloading CU52 for Business Central 14, you can just head up to this page and then download it from here. And when you click on download, you need to choose the India Localization IN. Now, let me be very clear. You cannot use this version of Business Central for a production environment for your customer, as in you will not get license, but just to be very clear about it. This release for India localization of Business Central 14 is only announced to do upgrades, because there is a mandatory step to go to Business Central 14 for your future upgrades. So the intention of Microsoft to release this is just to make sure that the India customers are able to go to the future. This is not a general available release for getting into production environment. I hope I have made myself clear. Okay. So what now? What we are going to do, let me open. We need to open the development environment of 2016, but make sure that you run it as administrator. Okay. Now this environment of CU67, I will have to open the environment of my database into CU67 environment. Now in this case, I am on a prior version, which is CU50. So while will try to open this, it'll give me a conversion confirmation. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, it'll tell me that I need to convert this database, and then so on and so forth. And this is recommended, and this is the only step to go forward. So you'll have to technically convert this database to match to the platform. So I just need to click OK, and this will start the conversion process, right? Before conversion, make sure that whatever your customer version was, like in my case CU50, you have already imported or saved license, your partner license, into the database, because conversion requires the partner license. So you can't convert a database unless you are using a partner license. So when I click OK and then I click OK, it just does that. It's just got converted to CU67 at this moment. Everything seems compiled, but this is not it. I don't just want to open my database into CU67, because that doesn't solve the purpose. So what you will have to do is you will have to download the CU67 all the objects, because I'm doing it on the demo database. Let me see if I have it somewhere. Yes. Okay. So I already have CU67 IN objects. Now this is an object file downloaded from NAV 2016 CU67 demo database. If your customer have customization, which is every customer, You will have to compare and merge your changes from your prior version of CU to CU67 objects. Because it's an upgrade process, if you just merge your table customizations and all, that'll be sufficient. You don't have to merge everything at this moment, right? But because, and then you have to kind of bake them into an object like I have done. And then once you're done with that, you can come here and import these objects of NAV 2016 CU17 CU67 merged object. These are all objects. Either you have merged 2 objects, you have merged 5 objects, that doesn't matter. You'll have to download all the objects from that database where you're merging this, and once you're done with that, just import replace all and click OK. At this point, choose sync schema later, because we haven't attached this database to a service, so it'll not be able to synchronize the objects at this moment. Once you do later, it'll start importing your CU67 merge object changes into this database, which will then kind of make this database a proper CU67. So if you don't know about merging, let me know, we'll talk about it in a separate video. But it's a pretty simple process now with the PowerShell commands and all in the nav world. But once the merge is over and you have the right set of objects, you are good at this point to kind of import those objects into your customer database. Now, having said that, once this process is over, which will take a while to kind of do it, we'll move further with the other steps which are not documented properly, but I have learned it by doing upgrades for our direct customers and customers of our partners whom we support. So if you are a partner and you need support with upgrades and all, reach out to me on an email and we can talk about it. We do support for upgrades, implementation, and you can reach out to me and we can talk about it on a separate call. But let's come back to this. Okay, so it's importing all the objects. Let's wait for it a while and then we'll see. Okay, so the import process is over, and if you look at it, it actually created 30 new objects, which means from a CU50 till CU67, Microsoft have added 32 new objects for India localization. So, and I'm pretty sure that these objects have a say in the upgrade process. Now understand it from Microsoft perspective. When they were building the upgrade path from NAV 2016 to Business Central 14 and then to Business Central versions, they needed to stick to a minimum requirement, and the minimum requirement is CU66. So don't skip this step of merging your changes and bringing them forward, because otherwise you'll end up with error messages going forward. Not sooner than later, you will see them somewhere when you are doing an upgrade to an AL extension. So don't waste your time. Don't think, oh, this is just for say, we can skip it and move forward with it. Make sure to do it. Okay, let's move ahead. Now, as we have done certain changes, we will have to kind of synchronize those changes to make sure that they are supported by the application, and any change that we have done is not causing any data loss. To do that, what you'll have to do is, once the conversion is completed and you have imported objects with sync schema later, you will come here on your service panel on 2016 and update your database name, save it. Let's get saved. Start your service. This will start your service, and then we'll have to run the synchronization process. Now you can run it from here. I prefer to use PowerShell because that keeps me easy to kind of share this going forward. So if you will need it, it'll be easy for me to kind of share the PowerShell file. So let me bring it in here. Okay. So this is PowerShell ISC, and what I'm going to do is, first I'm going to import the module, and I guess I have it saved. Let me open it, just one command, so that I can share it with you later. 2016 PowerShell. Okay, so you'll have to import the module so that we know that the PowerShell understand what commands you want to run. This will load all nav or Business Central commands into here, and then we'll run the sync with mode sync. Now I see a lot of questions coming through different channels, LinkedIn, Facebook, emails, where people send me a screenshot of doing a sync with mode force. While doing an upgrade, don't do it via mode force ever until unless it's coming from an authority like Microsoft or somebody else who knows what they are doing. As soon as you use the mode force, you might lose some data. So if it is coming from Microsoft, there is a step from Microsoft which you will see in a while where they recommend you to have some object with mode force. That's okay. Otherwise, in a standard upgrade process, it is either a sync or later. So never ever, until unless you know that the authority is what you think should be, don't use a mode force. Okay. Having said that, this is all from this, and hopefully we can close this. Okay. Now the other thing that I've learned after doing upgrades for India localization after so many years, that my upgrade fails if there are certain fields which are missing in 13728, the TDS setup table and the TDS entry table. I don't know the reasoning, but I'm pretty sure this is part of the India upgrade routine on the AL side, where Microsoft have written logic to have these fields. So if these fields are not there, your upgrade fails. And I have seen this in doing it in person, so I know this. So if you don't see a field like this on 13728 table, make sure to add it. 27 field number. The field name is calc over and above threshold type boolean. In the same way, in table 3729 on 135, you need to have a TDS adjustment. That's one field. Then on 136, you need to have a field called over and above threshold opening of type boolean. And then one more field which is same as we added into the previous table, which is calc over and above threshold boolean. Now I'm surprised that how Microsoft don't have it on the latest CU, and I don't know the answer of it. If you guys know it, let me know into the comments. I'm very new to India localization after so many years. But these fields were missing in my previous in my first upgrade after so many years to Business Central for an Indian customer, and the upgrade failed at a later stage. So I have a note for this, and I'm hopefully you will have a note for this going forward, that you need to make sure that these two tables have the required field which are needed. Okay, so we are good here. We are on NAV 2016, CU 67, everything settled. We are good to move forward. Now what else I have to do? Okay. I'll have to stop the service of CU 67 NAV 2016. That stops the service, but I might still have some connection to the database. So what I need to do is I need to go here, create a new SQL query, and then there are two tables that I need to make sure that they are clear. One is called the server instance, which stores the user sessions that are created for the server, and the other is your debugger breakpoint. So if you in past or your customers have taken or have done debugging on 2016, that stores the breakpoint. Now these tables cause problem, and this is not an India step. This is a mandatory step while doing upgrade, that you clear these tables. And I see that I had one server instance for the session that I was using. Okay, so I'm here, but let me do it again, because I don't want to do it with the one company, because right now there will be one company in the database which is Cronus India, and it is not fun to do it with the company because there are some steps which are company specific, and I would like to kind of run those steps for multiple companies, so that while you're watching this and you're doing upgrade and your customer has more than one company, which is obvious, you don't kind of just follow the video as along and skip the step for the other company. As in this age DNA, where Microsoft have made upgrade so simpler, where it automatically runs for multiple company. It sounds pretty old school, but yes, for an Indian upgrade, there is a step which you run per company. So it's good to have multiple companies. So what I'll do is I'll pop up my NAV 2016 client and we'll create an additional company into the database, so that we kind of cover that scenario. So let me pop this up, my 2016 client. Okay, and let me drag it on the screen that's being shared with you. If it let me, okay, it is going to come any moment now. Okay, so let's do it from PowerShell, creation of company, right? So what I can do from PowerShell, I don't need to open client, is to get company first, which is get hyphen nav company. Okay, let me, I might have closed this. Get hyphen nav company, and then my server instance is Dynamics NAV 90. Okay, so this gives me the company, and then I can also do a copy company. And don't worry, these commands will be available on GitHub. NAV company, server instance, Dynamics NAV 90, and then I have the source company name as this. Okay, and then my target company names become okay, destination company name becomes, let's say, test. Okay, let's do that. This will just create a copy of Cronus India as a separate company, which will be named as test. Now I could have done it from the client, but for that I'll have to compile all the objects, run the client, because I'm not going that route. I can also copy it one more time, and this time I'll call it as mock. So to save that hassle, I'm doing it from PowerShell, because my tenant is synchronized and my PowerShell command will run, right? If you have to do it from the client, if you want to do it, as in you don't have to, you can do it from the client itself, and then now you'll see that there are 3 companies available. Okay, so we have the company, we have everything that we needed. I'll close down the PowerShell, stop my NAV 2016 service, again go back to SQL, and I should have saved that, but I'll run the query again. This time I'll just copy the name of the database here. Okay, hopefully I should have done that, but I didn't. Okay, I should have the multiple companies in place before the demo, but that's okay. Okay, so that cleans up my 2016 and I'm good to go forward. Now the next step in my journey is to go to a Business Central 14. So I'll close everything on my NAV 2016 and pop up my BC14 development environment as administrator. And remember that you always have to run it as administrator, because otherwise the conversion process will fail. Now, because I have opened the database, the same database in the previous FinSQL or the development environment, it's asking me that do you want to open this, and this will require you to convert that database to Business Central 14. So because the platform is different, it'll require me to convert that database. So what I'll do is I'll hit OK and OK, and this will initiate the conversion process. Now this conversion will be a little bit longer than what we saw from 2016 CU50 to 2016 CU67, because there are more platform related changes between versions in comparison to between CUs. So in the background, it is converting all my tables to kind of make them compatible to Business Central 14. And first it does for the system tables, and then it individually goes to each and every object and make sure that it is compatible to my Business Central 14 CU52. So it'll take some time. What I'll do is I'll pause the video and I'll see you as it is kind of getting closer to its end. So the upgrade of objects is nearly over. It's at the last step, and at this moment it'll start compiling all the objects or kind of building server level objects as it finishes. So we'll just see the completion and then we'll again kind of wait for it to start the next step. So the first, all your upgrades are made compatible to Business Central 14 at this moment, so that there are no problems at this moment. And once this is completed, which is done now, I guess, we should see the next window popping up, which is building server level objects for Business Central 14. So now it's kind of building those objects, especially reports and pages. So we'll wait for it. Okay, so now this step is done. And okay, now it says the database was successfully converted. You may now run the schema synchronization to finalize the conversion. Connect with the service and then run the schema synchronization. Now before we do that, you will notice that all these objects are uncompiled at this moment, other than tables, I guess. Let's see. Yes, yeah, other than tables, everything is uncompiled. Not just the tables, I guess reports are compiled, or some of the objects are compiled. Other than that, everything is uncompiled at this moment. So what you'll have to do first is select all the objects, click on all, select all, and do a compile with sync schema later, because we haven't connected to the service. So we'll do the schema synchronization later. Now while this is happening, let's prepare the PowerShell. Now if you had the PowerShell window open for NAV 2016, close that and start a new PowerShell window for Business Central 14. And because that doesn't run in this way, the module that is imported, it only respects that. So now we'll do an import module, but this time we'll pick it from Business Central 140 service and PS1. This loads command respect to Business Central 14. So it's important that you close it and then reopen it, otherwise it'll be a problem. After the compilation is done, we have to run the sync nav tenant, okay, which happens with sync-nav tenant, the service name, which is BC140, and the mode as sync. As I said earlier, always sync. Once this is done, as in the compilation is done, we'll also have to connect this to a service. So what we need to do is open the administration panel for Business Central 14. Okay, that's coming up here. In Business Central 14 admin panel, we'll have to change the database name. So let's do that and be prepared for it, right? So this is my database name, which is NAV 2016 IN upgrade demo. The thing remains same, so you have updated the database name. One more thing that you'll have to change here is under the development tab, make sure that you have enable loading application symbol reference at server startup. Now this is a very important step, because the Business Central 14 is a hybrid version which works on CAL as well as on the AL extension. The AL extension works against the symbols of the objects that you have into the system. So anytime that you modify an object in CAL, the AL can only understand it when the corresponding symbol has been updated. Now this setting, which is enable loading application symbol at startup, keeps it consistent that whenever the service is restarted, it always look for any object that has been changed between the service restarts and reloads that symbols automatically. So make sure that this is enabled. Once you have done that, we are good here and we can start the service. Now the compilation is happening behind the scene, but in the meantime we have run the service, which kind of keeps up a step ahead. Now in this process, we'll also have to generate symbols for the objects that we have, because at this moment there are no symbols. Now the symbol generation happens from the command prompt. So let's head up and open command prompt. Again, anything that we are opening is run as administrator. The rule remains same for the command prompt also. So the command prompt will also be started as administrator. Remember, anything that you are opening during this upgrade process is always run as administrator. The command prompt is currently pointing to C Windows System 32, and we'll have to change the pointer to the FinSQL path, which is this path, not this actually. So let's go into that path, which is C program files x86. Okay, Microsoft Dynamics Business Central 140 role tailor client. So we'll copy this path, and don't worry, I'll write these command also into the PowerShell even if you can't run it from here, but I'll have to do a change directory here. Okay, cd is the change directory, and then the path that you have for the role tailor client. Hit enter and you will see that your prompt have changed to this path. Now we cannot run the symbol generation at this moment, but while this is happening, let's build the command. So the command starts with the finsql.exe, which is our executable, and then in that there is a parameter to add what type of command you are running, and you will do a generate symbol reference, the server name, which is localhost in my case, and database name, which is equal to whatever your database name is. Mine is NAV 2016 IN upgrade demo. Okay, I'm not running it, but I'm just keeping it as it is. What I'll do in the meantime is I'll add those commands that once you have run the sync, you will have to generate symbol from command prompt as administrator. Okay, and the command is, and I'll paste it here so that it becomes simple for you. First is the change directory that you have to change to that path, and then the second is the generate symbol command, which I'll write here. Okay, now if you have SQL Server instance also, just append it here after this as slash. If you don't have an instance, you can just use it as it is. Replace this parameter, or I should write it as database name so that you can change it, and this is your SQL Server name slash instance if you have. Okay, so replace anything with these less than and greater than with your actual, and then run it on command prompt for future references, right? Okay, so let's see where we are with the compilation. I think it's still going on, but let's see. Yeah, it's still going on. So we'll see you on the other side once the compilation is over. Okay, so the compilation is over and we see some error messages, but most of them are related to some .NET component, which doesn't matter to me at this moment because I'm not going live on this version, right? So we have compiled everything and we are good with the synchronization process at this moment. So the compilation is over. Let's go ahead and first, before doing that, let's go into the tools and use the function to build server application object. Now this just kind of builds the objects for the service tier. So let's see how that goes. It is not taking much time, but it is just doing some of the objects, only 15 of them. So it should be over at any moment, and then we should be good at running the schema synchronization for this database with validation, because the last time when we ran it for the compilation, we ran it with the schema synchronization as later because we didn't wanted it to kind of delay the process. There are some errors, no worries, we'll deal with it. Okay, coming back to our PowerShell now, and we should be good at this moment to run the sync process. Now the sync process synchronizes and makes sure that any changes that has happened to this database are not causing any data loss. So if there is any data loss in any of the tables, it will generate an error message based on the changes that we are making. So the sync is over, so that means our data is intact and there has been no problems at this moment. Having said that, let's talk about the another common question that I get, because this is very important at this moment to talk about, that people get errors around some of the tables. And some of these are listed here, or most of these that they get. Now remember, these tables are part of the Microsoft prior versions, and they had been part of your NAV 2016 at this moment. These tables have no space going forward. Microsoft have discontinued these tables. So before moving further, you need to go ahead and delete all these tables with sync schema force. As I said a little bit ago, that you only do it if it comes from an authority, and this is on one of the Microsoft step, not for India localization, but for any region that you're doing upgrade, that these tables are supposed to be deleted. So take a screenshot if needed. The filters for deleting this table will be available into the PowerShell that we are using. So I'll append that step here, that once you have run this, delete these objects or tables, to be very specific, with sync schema force. There's the filter, so you can just go ahead in your development environment, apply the filter on tables, and these tables are no longer needed by Microsoft. You might see other objects related to this DO encryption and all. Don't worry about it, we'll come to that in a while. But first is you need to delete all these tables with sync schema force. Sorry. Okay, once this is deleted, we are good at this moment to kind of move toward the AL journey slowly and slowly. So to start doing an AL scenario, you need to have some baseline apps available. So if I do a get nav app info at this moment on my environment, sorry, BC 140, I'll get nothing. Even if I do a symbol only, I'll get nothing. The objects that we have becomes, as of today, part of Business Foundation base application and application system application that you see in the Business Central versions. All these objects are in the future version are splitted into these three apps, which is base app, Business Foundation, and system application. But other than this, there is a system app that is core of or the prerequisite for any of these apps to be installed in any version of Business Central. In the Business Central 14 world, if you are on Business Central 14, you have these apps added in your demo database as in the database. But if you are coming from prior version as we are coming, you need to kind of install those baseline apps, which is system, and then there is another app called test. You need to make sure that these apps are published before you start your symbol generation journey. So first, let's take the path for this, head up to our PowerShell, and here we'll do a publish of system and test apps. So our command becomes publish nav app server instance BC 140, and then there is a path, which is the system app path. If you try to publish it, and that is my next question that I get a lot of time, that when I'm trying to publish my system app, I get an error message, just this. The error says your program license does not allow you to publish the license permission. Now you need to understand, and this is not the topic for this video, but there are two types of app. One are the apps where you have code associated with it, which you can see and all on your extension management window in Business Central, and then there are some apps which are symbol only. Both of these apps are of package type symbol only. So while publishing system app and the test app, make sure to attach an additional parameter which is package type symbol only, and when you do that, you will be easily able to publish both of these apps. So now if I do a get nav app info BC140, I'll still get nothing, but if I do a symbol only, I'll see that I have two symbol apps, which is system and test. Now this lays the foundation to start building symbols for all the objects that we have at this moment into the system. Without these, your symbol generation will fail. And how we generate symbol? As you have seen here, you need to go to command prompt, run it as administrator, change the prompt to this, and then run this command to start your symbol generation journey. My database name hopefully is correct. Yes, and you hit enter. Now as soon as you hit enter, it seems it's over, but it's actually not. To see the progress of it, you'll have to go to your task manager, go under detail section. In the detail section, just start looking for name FinSQL. You'll notice that there are two FinSQLs here, whereas I only have one development environment open. So the one FinSQL is for the session that I'm using right now, which is the development environment, and other FinSQL is based on this command of generate symbol, finsql.exe, generate symbol references, and so on and so forth. So to understand when it is over, you'll have to wait for one of these to finish. There is another way of seeing it, is when you go into your role tailor client folder. Once the symbol generation either succeeds or fails, you will see a file of type txt in here, which is not available here. So wait for it. Don't just run the symbol generation process and say, oh, I've done it, let's move forward. You'll have to wait for the process to complete of generating symbols for each and every object that you have in the database, which may take some time. So pause for a while and let's see what else we have to do after this. So once the symbol generation is over, we are good there to kind of move forward with it. Okay, so let's wait for that and we'll see what happens at this moment. Now, why we are generating the symbol? That's another question that people ask. To move forward from Business Central 14 to a future version of Business Central, you will be installing extensions associated with India localization. To install an extension, there are dependencies with the base app and other apps. Now, if there is a dependency with the system app or the test app, you have it, right? But let's say if there is a dependency with the base app in Business Central 14, I'm saying, where a extension from Microsoft for India localization is taking reference, let's say with the customer table or the vendor table. Those references will not look for your objects in your development environment. Those will look for the symbols that are generated against those. And that's where symbol generation is a very important process to move forward from this point. So I'll pause it because it takes some time, and then I'll show you when it kind of closes and how you can see that it is succeeded or failed. Okay, so as you can see, there is only one FinSQL now. So hopefully the process completed successfully. But to see that, we will come here and look for a text document, and that is nav command results. Now this, when you open this file, will tell you what actually happened, and it tells you that the command has completed successfully in 284 seconds. Now based on how many objects you have, this may take less or more time, right? So hopefully we are good here. Let's see what happens now. Okay, so let me quickly go ahead and explain you how things will move forward. So at this point, we have kind of completed our upgrade till Business Central 14 CAL version. So what we did, we came from 2016 IN, and then we brought it to Business Central 14 IN at this moment. Now what's going to happen at this moment once you are in Business Central 14 IN? In the next video, we will break this IN database into two major parts. One will be the worldwide version of Business Central 14, and then any data associated with India localization, either part of the standard Microsoft table or a complete India table, will go into a temp table in AL extension. Microsoft have provided that extension. There is an upgrade routine written which moves the data from CAL to NAL, and once that is over, we the BC14W1 comes as it is, and then in Business Central 14 there is a step which transfers this data from the temp tables in AL to an IN extension, or not one IN extension, multiple IN extensions. So what you'll see in the next part, which you can just go and watch after this, is we will kind of move this data to an IN extension and how that process works. So I would not ask you that if you have questions about the part 2, let me know, because the part 2 is getting shooted just after this. But do let me know into the comments, did you learn something new out of this video? If you think this was useful, hit the like button. If you think other people in your community or in your friend circle need to know about it, share it at least with one person whose life will be better after watching this, who's been struggling with the India upgrade. And then do subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And as I said in the middle of the video, if you have any business related query, reach out to us at info@adityaconsulting.com or ask me in the community, and I will be happy to work with you. So go ahead and watch the part 2, which is available somewhere on the screen right now. Go ahead and watch it and I'll see you there. Thank you and have a nice day.